Welcome to JK Tells a Story, where real-life dramas unfold. Sit back and enjoy today's tale. Friday, 5:15 p.m., Trevor Ashford's office, Caldwell Associates, Chicago. Margaret Hartwell stepped into the private washroom attached to her boss's office, needing a moment to collect herself. What had just happened between her and Trevor Ashford still felt surreal. After months of growing closer, after pledging her love to a much younger man, she had crossed a line she'd sworn she never would. She had given him something she'd never offered her husband of nearly 30 years, a part of herself she'd always considered off-limits, something she'd once found distasteful. At first, she'd been nervous and even a little scared, afraid it might hurt. But to her amazement, it hadn't been as uncomfortable as she'd originally thought. The warm water ran over her hands as she stared at her reflection. Why now? She asked herself. Why did she allow herself to be used like that if she would never have agreed to this with Rob? Perhaps, she reasoned, this was just one way to separate the two most important relationships in her life. It was something only Trevor could have. But what about Rob? Was there any part of her that belonged exclusively to him anymore? Until the last few months, she had belonged entirely to Robert Brennan. The thought of cheating on her husband had never even crossed her mind, and she knew he only had eyes for her. The company she worked for, Caldwell Associates, was a large investment firm with interests throughout the country. Apparently, it was really no different from any other company, but it was very unique in one respect. Executives were not only allowed and encouraged but required to engage in intimate relations with a personal assistant. The tradition was that the company hired only men for management positions. It was an unwritten rule that was followed by higher authorities, and it was a tradition that began more than 75 years ago. There was also an established unwritten rule that no employee was ever to mention the topic outside of the company. Ever. Those who did were quickly counseled, and their employment was terminated. Most of the women who worked as assistants were unmarried, but a few were married, and most of them somehow managed to hide their work from their unsuspecting husbands. They all had to sign non-disclosure agreements. While many young women in the company aspired to become executive assistants, Margaret never did. The reason was simple. She loved her husband and had made a promise before God and everyone else to cleave only to him until death parted them. Raised in the church by strict parents, she took this promise seriously. Until Trevor came along. About 8 months ago, the company hired Trevor from a competitor based in New York. He was initially reluctant to accept the idea of having some kind of personal companion provided by the company, especially after what had happened to him in New York when he'd had an affair with a married coworker. But after meeting Margaret, who was temporarily assigned to him, he changed his mind. At their first meeting, she made it clear to him that she was happily married and intended to remain so. Just so you know, Trevor, she said, I'm assigned to you only until you choose the woman you want as your permanent assistant. There are many very attractive young women here who would jump at the chance to be with you. But I don't want any of them, he said. I want you. You're the most beautiful woman I've ever met in my life, and you seem like a consummate professional. I choose you. But you'll be expected to have an intimate relationship with me, she said. And as I said, I'm very happily married to a wonderful man. Besides, I'm 49 years old enough to be your mother. I have a daughter who just graduated from college. You definitely don't look your age, Margaret, he said. In fact, you look at least 10 years younger. He paused. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll choose you as my assistant, but I won't ask you for anything beyond professional duties. We'll keep it platonic. In any case, you'll receive a significant increase in salary, and I'm sure the bonuses will certainly come in handy. She knew he was right about that. Every 6 months, the company paid assistants $50,000 in bonuses for their services, in addition to a very nice regular salary. Okay, Trevor, she said. We can try this for a while and see what happens. When Trevor made his announcement, there were many dejected faces and many noses were out of joint. Everyone was wondering what Margaret had that they didn't. She told her husband that she'd received a promotion and had been chosen as an executive assistant, but she never told him what the job would entail. After nearly 30 years, Rob trusted his wife completely, so he was genuinely happy for her. At first, Margaret and Trevor maintained a platonic relationship. They met together in his office 3 times a week, on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 4 to 5 in the evening, for so-called working hours. While other executives were engaged with their assistants, Trevor and Margaret sat on the couch in his office and talked, mostly about her family and her relationship with her husband. "Tell me about your husband," he said one day as they sat together. "Rob, his name is short for Robert, spent 20 years in the Marine Corps," she said. "He was a military policeman and specialized in criminal investigations. He served 2 tours in Iraq and 1 in Afghanistan. By the time he retired, he'd developed connections with the local police, and they hired him as a detective. About a year or so ago, he was injured quite badly responding to a bank robbery. He spent months in a rehabilitation center and was finally discharged for health reasons with a pension." "Oh my God," Trevor said. "What's he doing now?" "He works part-time from home," she said. "He does investigations and helps his friend Michael, who has his own private detective firm. He says it's mostly boring, but he doesn't have to run around or chase criminals like he used to. He spends most of his time at home now." "Sounds like an interesting man," Trevor said. "I'd like to meet him sometime." "Why don't you come over for dinner?" she asked. "Rob loves grilling, and I'm sure he'd like to meet you. Our daughter Emily is in town right now. Maybe you could meet her too." "I'd love to," Trevor said. After checking with Rob, Margaret invited Trevor over for dinner. Rob grilled steaks while she prepared mashed potatoes, gravy, and green beans. Emily joined them and they all had a good time. "That boss of yours seems like a pretty decent guy," Rob said after Trevor left. "Not at all what I expected." "What did you expect?" she asked. "Oh, I don't know," he told her. "I thought that since he came from New York, he might be kind of arrogant or something. But he really surprised me. And I can see that he's had an influence on you." "What do you mean?" she asked. "You seem to like your job," he said. "You seem happier than I've seen you in years. There's nothing going on between you two, is there?" He asked it jokingly. "Of course not," she said. "Don't be silly. You're the only man I love and want." "I hope so," he said. "I'd be lost without you." "Well, you're stuck with me, mister," she said, hugging him. That night they were intimate with her on top. After Rob was injured, he found that he couldn't perform as well or as often as before, but he did everything he could to keep his beloved wife happy. About a month after Trevor chose Margaret as his assistant, he came face to face with Gerald Stanton, the executive who had hired him. Gerald sidled up to Trevor after a meeting and asked to speak with him alone. "Is something wrong?" Trevor asked. "Look, you know how things are here, right?" Gerald asked. "Yes, I know," Trevor said. "Tell me, are you really having a relationship with Margaret?" Gerald asked. "Well, no," Trevor said. "We've become good friends, and I've met her family. You know she's married, and she says she doesn't want to do anything that would hurt her marriage. I just want to respect her wishes." "I understand that," Gerald said, "and I appreciate how you feel, but the assistant position was designed for a purpose. I don't want to give you an ultimatum, but you have a choice to make. Either develop a closer relationship with Margaret, choose a new assistant, or I'm afraid we'll have to let you go. So I either have to be with her, choose someone else and be with them, or I get fired?" Trevor asked in shock. "I'm afraid so," Gerald said. Trevor nodded and returned to his office. He called Margaret inside and closed the door. "What happened?" she asked, seeing the look on his face. "I was given a choice," he said. "I either have to have a relationship with you, choose another assistant and have a relationship with her, or submit my resignation." "Okay," she said. "I'll resign so someone else can take my place." "No," he said, placing his hand on her shoulder. "I don't want any of the others. I want only you. But there are a lot of single women here, much younger than me, who would be better suited for you. You're the most beautiful woman in this company, Margaret," he said. "I want to be with you." She looked into his face, thinking about what he was offering. Yes, he was much younger than her, and he reminded her so much of Rob when he was younger. And if she was being honest with herself, she'd developed feelings for him. But what about Rob? She hesitated. But then Trevor took her face in his hands and kissed her directly on the lips. She wasn't worried about getting pregnant because she'd had her fallopian tubes tied after Emily was born. When they finished, she was racked with guilt. She had just cheated on her husband of almost 30 years. Until that day, Rob had been the only man she'd ever been with. Now she had broken her vows and become an adulteress. "That was wonderful, Margaret," Trevor said. "You're an amazing woman. I could easily fall in love with you." She smiled at his compliment and kissed him. "I'd better go take a shower," she said. "I don't think Rob would appreciate it if I came home without cleaning up afterward." "I suppose not," he said. "What do you intend to do about your husband?" "You mean, do I plan to leave him?" she asked. "No. I intend to stay with him despite what we just did. The fact is, I love him with all my heart. I have feelings for you too, but if I ever have to choose between you and him, I will quit my job and stay with him." "I understand," he said. "We also need to set some ground rules," she continued. "First of all, there will be no insults toward my husband. If I ever hear you disrespect him, it's over between us. Secondly, Rob will never touch me after I've been with you, because I'll always shower first. Third, don't ask me to cut him off from our intimate life. If you do, this is over. Fourth, don't expect us to do this in my house or in the bed I share with my husband. And don't ever ask me to be with any of your friends or clients." She paused. "We need to be very careful about what we do and where we do it. What happens here in the office stays in the office. And never give him a reason to suspect that something is happening between us. If we're at a public event and I'm with Rob, you'll treat me the same as any other coworker." "Understood." "Understood," he said with a smile. "I think you've pretty much covered everything." She smiled, kissed him, and went to the bathroom where she took a long shower. Thus began her career as Trevor's paid corporate companion. Over the next few months, the relationship between Margaret and Trevor developed in new ways. He showered her with gifts and treated her like a queen, except during their scheduled times on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 4 to 5 p.m., when their relationship became more physical. She found herself enjoying what he did for her and with her, and she noticed that he kept his end of the bargain. He never disrespected Rob and never asked to come to her house. When she attended company events with Rob, Trevor treated her the same as any other colleague. Rob never had the slightest idea what was going on between his wife and her boss. When she received her first bonus check, she spent almost all of it on a new Ford F-150 pickup truck for her husband. He was still driving his 2010 Ford and was amazed when the truck was delivered. "What's all this?" he asked. "A gift for my loving husband," she said. "Can we afford to pay for this thing?" he asked. "There's no need for payments," she said. "I received a nice bonus check and wanted to surprise you. I thought you deserved this for being such a wonderful and supportive husband. This is the nicest gift I've ever been given," he said, taking her into his arms. "You're the best wife a man could dream of. You know that?" "I know," she said, and tears appeared in her eyes. If he knew what she'd done to earn that money, she thought he wouldn't be so kind. The relationship between Trevor and Margaret grew to the point where they began to think of each other as work spouses. It was not unusual for executives at Caldwell Associates to end up in long-term relationships with their assistants. Some even got married. One day, Trevor proposed to Margaret in his office, getting down on one knee. "I love you so much, Margaret," he said, holding an expensive pearl necklace in his hands. "Will you be my office wife?" She smiled and nodded. "Yes, my dear Trevor. I'll be your office wife," she said, kissing him. He placed the necklace around her neck and admired how it looked on her. "By the power invested in me by myself, I declare us office husband and office wife," Trevor announced with some theatricality. Margaret smiled, looking into his eyes. "Now you can call me your office bride," she told him. "That's the best offer I've received all day," he said. "Only one thing," she said, taking her wedding rings off her finger. "What are you doing?" Trevor asked. "From now on, when I'm at work, I'm your wife, completely devoted to you," she said. "And when I go home, I'm Rob's wife, completely devoted to him. She placed her rings in the top drawer of her desk and closed it. Now I'm ready, my office husband. After this, their relationship blossomed. Trevor, who was already quite wealthy, bought Margaret an entire wardrobe and insisted that she wear what he provided when she came to the office. She happily complied, changing when she arrived at work and changing again before leaving. She also took the photo of her and Rob from her desk and hid it at the bottom of one of her desk drawers. She didn't want anything at work to remind her that she was already married. Margaret and Trevor also increased the frequency of their meetings. By this time, they were together every day of the workweek, most often in his office. He brought her to his apartment several times. They decided not to use hotels for fear that someone might see them together. Margaret also started working later than usual a couple of days a week, telling Rob that she had to stay late to meet deadlines. In fact, she and Trevor spent those evenings together in his office or apartment. On several occasions, she accompanied Trevor to seminars or meetings with clients in other cities. Of course, they shared a hotel room. She told Rob they had separate rooms and always made it a point to call home in the evenings, gesturing at Trevor to be quiet so Rob wouldn't suspect anything. As far as she knew, Rob had no idea what was really going on between her and Trevor. She often smiled after her evening shower, admiring her body in the mirror. Yes, she thought, she had it all. A loving, devoted, unsuspecting husband at home, a great job, and an equally devoted lover who made her feel desired every day. The only question now was how long could this continue? How long did she want it to continue? Although she still looked good at 49, she knew that at some point Trevor would want someone closer to his age. She knew that at some point her body would begin to show her age. While she was taking her shower in Trevor's office washroom, another worry crept into her head. Over the past few days, Rob had changed. He was no longer the outgoing, happy-go-lucky guy she'd married almost 30 years ago. He'd become withdrawn and quiet, saying almost nothing to her. He'd started smoking again, something he only did when he was really upset. She also noticed that he'd stopped driving the new truck she'd bought him and kept it locked in the garage. "Why are you driving your old truck?" she'd asked. "Is there something wrong with the new one?" "I don't want to put too many miles on a new vehicle," he'd said. She tried to talk to him, hoping to find out what was bothering him. "Rob, is everything okay?" she asked one day. "You've been terribly quiet. I'm worried about you." "Everything's just wonderful," he said in a neutral tone. "Michael asked me to help him with a cheating spouse case, and it really threw me off balance." "I'm sorry to hear that," she said. "Do you want to talk about it?" "Not really," he said, "but I just don't understand it. Why would a woman cheat on her husband and then tell him that she loves him? Damn it, if she wanted to hurt him, why did she even marry the guy? I'm telling you, someone's going to end up dead over this." She flinched at his words and wondered if he really meant what he'd said. "Well, you'll never have to worry about that, honey," she said. "You know I would never do anything like that to you." He stared at her for a few moments before answering. "Yes, I guess I'm lucky, aren't I?" he said, flashing a smile that contained no warmth. She smiled back, but privately began to wonder if he knew about her and Trevor. Back to the present. Margaret finished her shower and got out to dry herself. She made sure to be completely dry, and her hair was brushed exactly as it had been when she'd left for work that morning. She made every effort to hide her activities from Rob, even using the same soap and shampoo she used at home. She put on the clothes she'd worn to work and entered Trevor's office. She gave him a lingering kiss before leaving. "See you tomorrow," she said. "See you," he told her. "I love you." "I love you too," she said. She walked into her own office, unlocked her desk, and pulled out the top drawer to retrieve her rings. She almost went into shock when she looked in the drawer and saw that her rings were gone. She always put them in the small compartment at the front of the drawer before closing and locking it. There was no way anyone could have taken them. But now the space was empty. Distraught, she rummaged through the entire drawer, but there were no rings. She looked around on the floor, wondering if they had somehow fallen out, but there was nothing there. She ran back into Trevor's office. "What's wrong?" he asked. "My rings are gone," she exclaimed. Someone took my rings. Trevor came into her office, and the two of them searched for the rings, but couldn't find them anywhere. They couldn't just get up and leave on their own, he said. Are you absolutely sure you locked them in your desk drawer? Absolutely, she said. They must be here somewhere. Listen, I'll leave a note for the night cleaning crew to keep an eye out for them, he said. Don't worry, we'll find them. But what do I tell Rob? She asked. He'll notice right away that they're not there. Tell him you took them off to have them cleaned and resized, Trevor suggested. I hate lying to him, she said, before catching herself. But I guess I've been doing that for several months now. I guess I have no choice, do I? She left the office while Trevor was writing a note for the night cleaning team. Friday, 5:15 p.m. The Brennan home, Chicago. Robert Brennan sat in his chair on the back porch, twirling a ring in his hand. In his other hand, he held a lit cigarette, his third in less than an hour. He thought about putting the ring in his pocket with the other two that were already there, but decided against it. As he put the ring back on his finger, he thought of Margaret. He was near the end of his first 4 years in the Marine Corps when he first met her. A friend invited him to dinner, saying he should meet someone. He was smitten the moment he saw her. She was the sweetest and most beautiful woman he had ever met. He asked her out, and he still remembered the first time she kissed him, how she lightly ran her tongue across his lips and how she gently sucked on his bottom lip. He had never experienced anything like this before and felt as if he had died and gone to heaven. They continued dating and fell in love with each other. When he asked her to marry him, she hugged him and said yes. She said she was a virgin and insisted on remaining that way until her wedding night. He liked her so much that he agreed. By then, he had already met her family, and they all got along great. Her father was a decent, hard-working man who didn't smoke or drink. When he wasn't working, he spent time with his family. In addition to her parents, he had to pass inspection with her 2 older brothers, which he did. They made it clear to him that they expected him to treat their little sister with love and respect. In their home, family was everything. One day, her father spoke to him privately and expressed his concerns. I know you say you love Margaret, he said, but I know what young Marines are like, especially when they're deployed. I won't stand by and watch her get hurt. I promise you, sir, Rob told Margaret's father. I will never cheat on your little girl. Eventually, the older man relented and accepted him as his son-in-law. Promise me that you will take care of my little girl no matter what, he said. I promise, Rob said. For the next 29.5 years, Margaret was the best wife a man could ask for. Loyal, supportive, loving, caring, and perhaps most importantly, flexible. She had to put up with Rob's constant deployments abroad and later with his long working hours. It wasn't easy, but they got through it all. They had other problems too. Margaret gave birth to their first child, Leah, about 1.5 years after they married. Unfortunately, the girl died from sudden infant death syndrome, leaving them both devastated. Margaret became pregnant twice more but miscarried both times. She talked to Rob about getting a tubal ligation, but he wanted to try again. She agreed with his decision, and the result was Emily. After discussing the matter with her husband, Margaret had her fallopian tubes tied. At first, Rob wanted to try for a son, but he didn't want Margaret to suffer, so he agreed. After serving in the Marines for 20 years, Rob decided to retire. They settled in Chicago, where he became a detective for the Chicago Police Department. Margaret got a job as an administrative assistant at Caldwell Associates and slowly moved up the ranks. They continued to live their lives, which consisted mainly of working and raising their daughter Emily. Everything was going well in the Brennan household, and Rob looked forward to the day when they could retire and enjoy their golden years, perhaps with grandchildren. Then, about 1.5 years ago, he responded to a call about a bank robbery. 3 criminals took several hostages and demanded that the police provide an evacuation vehicle and a clear route out of the city. The incident ended in a short shootout during which he was seriously wounded. One of the 3 bullets that hit him severely damaged his left leg, and he ended up undergoing physical therapy for about 6 months. Rob hoped he would soon be able to return to duty, but the department decided to place him on medical retirement instead. Even though he received a monthly police pension as well as a military pension, their budget suffered a bit. Sure, they could pay their bills, but they didn't have as much wiggle room as before. After he was able to get on his feet and settle in a bit, he took a part-time job as an investigator. It didn't pay much, but it forced him to leave the house from time to time. His friend Michael Donovan also offered him a part-time job as a private investigator. Rob applied for and received the license to work as an armed private investigator. Michael, or Mac as he preferred to be called, didn't want Rob to push himself too hard, so he limited his work to observations or research that could be done online. Rob was so proud the day Margaret came home and told him that she'd been promoted and would be the assistant to the new executive the company had just hired from New York. He felt she deserved the promotion, and the pay raise would certainly help. He couldn't help but notice that her attitude and overall outlook on life seemed to improve. She was happier and much more relaxed than before. Perhaps, he thought, it was the extra money from her new promotion. He was amazed the day she brought the new pickup truck to their house. Margaret told him it was a gift for being so supportive of her. He wondered how they could afford it and was surprised when she said she'd paid for it with a bonus check she'd received. It wasn't long after when his whole world came crashing down on him. The previous Monday afternoon, he'd received a call from Teresa Knight, one of the girls who worked with Margaret. He was in Mac's office, having just returned from a surveillance mission. "Brennan," he said, answering the call. "Mr. Brennan, this is Teresa Knight," the woman said. "I work with your wife. Is it possible to meet somewhere for a few minutes?" "I guess so," Rob said. "There's a little coffee shop on the corner of Riverside and 3rd Street. Would that be okay?" "That would be ideal," she said. "Can we meet in, say, 20 or 30 minutes? Rob looked at his watch and saw that it was 3:35 p.m., of course. "I can meet you there. Can you tell me what this is about?" "Not right now and not over the phone," she said. "I'll tell you when I see you." "Okay," he said. "See you in about 20 minutes. They finished the conversation, and Rob entered Mac's office. "I just got a strange call," he said. "What happened?" Mac asked. "Some woman who works with my wife wants to meet me," Rob said. "Really?" Mac asked. "You're not dating on the side, are you?" "Of course not, Mac. You know me better than that," Rob said. "I know, I'm just tugging on your chain," Mac said. "Any idea what she wants?" "No clue," Rob said. "Well, I'm off," Mac said. "Maybe it'll bring us more business." He headed toward the exit and met Teresa in the cafe. He recognized the young woman. He had met her before at the company Christmas party. After buying them both lattes, he sat down next to her. "What can I do for you, Teresa?" he asked. "Unfortunately, I have to tell you something, Mr. Brennan," she said. "Please call me Rob," he said. "Your wife is in a relationship with one of our executives," she said. "What do you mean by, in a relationship? Is she having an affair?" he asked. "I'm afraid it's a little more than an affair," she said. "Are you saying she's fallen in love with this executive?" "I think so," she said. "In my opinion, that's exactly what it looks like." "Who is this executive?" he asked. "Trevor Ashford," she said. "How do you know?" Rob asked. "Margaret told me she was hired as his executive assistant. I've met this man. He seems like a good guy. Are you sure Margaret is involved with him? He's a little young for her, isn't he?" "He was his choice," Teresa said. "And she's not an executive assistant. She's actually a personal assistant, and she's expected to have a relationship with him." "How long has this been going on?" he asked. "It's been a little over 6 months," she said. "Why are you telling me all this? And why now, 6 months later?" he asked. "Well, I hate to say it, but part of what drives me is my own selfish desire," she said. "You see, I'd hoped Trevor would choose me, but instead he chose a married woman who's much older than him. No offense." "None taken," he said. "I completely understand. Maybe I should talk to your management." "Oh no, don't do that," she said. "Please." "Why not?" he asked. "We all have to sign non-disclosure agreements," she said. We're not supposed to talk about relationships between executives and their assistants. We could get fired if we do. I understand, he said. So this agreement also applies to female assistants? No, the company doesn't hire female assistants, she said. I know this sounds strange, but as far as I know, the company has never hired a woman in a management position. Several have applied, but none were ever hired. Interesting, he said. Tell me, are any of the other assistants married? A couple of them, yes, but most are single, she said. What about their husbands? He asked. One doesn't know about this arrangement, but the other does, she said. He's disabled and can't have intimate relations. They could really use the extra money, so he doesn't complain, until she rubs his nose in it. How much extra do they receive? He asked. Well, their salary is almost doubled, and they all get a $50,000 bonus every 6 months, she said. This is after taxes. Wow, he said. So that's where she got the money for the new truck, he thought. No doubt this is an attempt to assuage her guilt. Suddenly, the new truck didn't seem so nice anymore. How often do they get together? He asked. The company has regular office hours for assistants to meet with their managers, she said. This happens every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Most likely, your wife and Trevor find other times to meet as well. So Margaret is with him right now? Is this what you wanted to tell me? He asked. She nodded. Yes, she said. Can I ask you to do me a favor? He asked. I'll try. What is it? She said. Could you keep an eye on Margaret and Trevor's relationship for me for a while? Let me know if you see or hear anything you think I should know about. I think I can do that, she said. But I have to be very careful. I understand, Teresa, he said. I don't want you to put your job at risk. I think I should go now, Teresa said, standing up. Again, I'm really sorry this happened. If I see or hear anything else, I'll let you know. Thank you, Teresa. I appreciate it more than you know, he said. After she left, he sat for a while thinking about what she told him. He felt as if someone had just punched him in the stomach. He checked his watch and realized it was about 4:30, which meant Margaret and Trevor were about halfway through their meeting. He returned to the office, hoping to see Mac before he left. Hey, Rob, Mac said as he entered. I didn't expect you to come back. Are you okay? You look like someone just kicked your dog. No, Mac, I'm not okay, he said. I just found out that Margaret is cheating on me with her boss. Let's go to my office, Mac said, taking off his jacket. We need to talk. Rob recounted everything Teresa had told him. When he finished, Mac thought for a moment before speaking. The first thing you need to do is get evidence, he said. Right now, all you have is the word of a coworker who admits she has a thing for your wife's boss. Personally, I find it hard to believe that Margaret could cheat on you. Damn, you guys have been married for what? Almost 30 years. Yes, Rob said. Almost 30. Our anniversary is in just a few weeks. Mac pulled out a desk drawer and took out an audio recorder disguised as a pen. He handed it to Rob. Put this in her purse, he said. It will record up to 18 hours of audio at a distance of up to 15 meters. I'll see what I can do about video surveillance. I know it'll be difficult, but don't let on that you suspect something is wrong. And don't do anything stupid. Yeah, I know, Rob said. Yes, and that's why I'm telling you not to do anything stupid, Mac said. Tell me, what floor is her office on? The 15th floor of the Parker Building downtown, Rob said. Caldwell Associates occupies the top 7 floors. That building is across from the Block Building, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see what I can do, Mac said. For now, put this in Margaret's purse and keep an eye on it over the next few days. See what you can catch and play it cool. Maybe nothing's happening. Okay, Rob said before heading home. Putting the pen in Margaret's purse was easy. Playing as if nothing had happened was much more difficult. He watched her every move but saw nothing unusual. He tried to smell cologne or anything else that might indicate she was having an affair, but there was nothing. He watched to see if she would immediately go to the shower, but that didn't happen either. She simply took off her work clothes as she always did and went downstairs to prepare dinner, just as she had done every day since she started working at Caldwell Associates. When they went to bed, Margaret said she was very tired, which meant no intimacy. This didn't surprise Rob, as she'd often been extremely tired lately. He wondered if Teresa had made a mistake, but the whole story still haunted him. He figured he would find out the truth soon enough, one way or another. He received his answer the next evening when he retrieved the pen from her purse. After loading the audio onto his computer, he heard Margaret and Trevor exchange much more than warm greetings. "I'd better go get myself cleaned up," he heard her say to Trevor when they finished. "I don't want Rob to suspect anything." After her shower, he heard the words that put an end to it all. "I love you," Trevor said. "I love you too," she said. "See you in the morning." Rob sat in his office with tears streaming down his face when he heard this. What a fool, he thought to himself. This lying, treacherous woman. How long has this been going on? It didn't really matter to him. His marriage was over. There was no way he was going to become her willing cuckold. He copied the audio file from the recorder, charged it back up, and put it back in her purse. Tomorrow, he decided he would begin the process to end this sham marriage. That night, he went to bed and turned his back to Margaret. When she reached out to him, he didn't respond. He had never done this before. He was always more than willing to reciprocate her feelings. But that was over now. He heard her turn away, and for a moment he thought he heard her sobbing. Good, he thought to himself. The next morning, he called and made an appointment with a divorce lawyer. He knew a few, as Mac had actually worked for quite a few divorce attorneys. "I take it you have an audio recording?" Mac asked when Rob told him. Rob nodded. "Damn," Mac said. "I'm sorry to hear it. I managed to find a place in the block building where I have a clear view of her office. I have a camera set up there now. Let's see what we can do." When Rob met with the lawyer, he laid out everything he knew and allowed the lawyer to listen to the evidence he had. The lawyer then told him the bad news. "I'm sorry to hear about this, Rob," John Miller said. "But the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter. You see, Illinois is a no-fault state, which means you can't file on any grounds other than irreconcilable differences. A judge may take adultery into account when it comes time to divide assets or award alimony, but that's about it." "Can I contact her boss or her company?" Rob asked. "You can't sue her boss for alienation of affection, if that's what you're thinking," John said. "The state legislature took care of that a while ago. However, perhaps we can do something with the company. Let me work on this for a bit and I'll get back to you." "Okay, do what you can," Rob said. "I want to completely break up with her. She can have this house. I just want my half of the assets and my pension." "I'll do the paperwork," John said. "I'd like to serve her myself." "Okay, when would you like to do this?" John asked. "Next Wednesday," Rob said. "It was supposed to be our 30th anniversary. A little revenge, huh?" John asked. "I don't see a problem with it," Rob said. Having paid the retainer, Rob returned to the office, where he noticed Mac engrossed in something. "Check this out," Mac said. Rob walked over to see what Mac was looking at. There on the screen was Margaret, taking off her rings and throwing them into the top drawer of her desk before changing her clothes. "What does she do with her rings? And why is she changing clothes?" Rob asked. Knowing that she was having an affair with Trevor was bad enough, but seeing her throw away her rings tore him up inside. "Good question," Mac said. "I get the impression that she's going out of her way for this." They watched as Margaret hung up the clothes she'd worn to the office, then grabbed another dress. One that clearly cost more than the one she'd just taken off, and put it on. Then they saw her put on a necklace. Rob looked but couldn't remember if he'd ever seen the necklace before. "I have an idea," Rob said. "I have something to do, but I'll be back." "Don't do anything stupid," Mac said. "You know me," Rob said. "Yes, I do," Mac said with a laugh. "And I'm not bailing you out of jail." "Don't worry," Rob said. He left the office and headed to the apartment complex. He had previously contacted them about renting a small one-bedroom apartment. After analyzing his budget, he decided that he could afford it and pay the deposit. They said he could start moving in on Monday after the apartment was cleaned. After that, he went to the bank and withdrew half of the funds from his checking and savings accounts. Then he opened a new account at another bank. From there, he went up to the 15th floor of the Parker building. He had been there many times before to see Margaret, so it wouldn't be strange if someone saw him there. He managed to get to Margaret's office undetected, which was part of his plan. When he got there, he pulled a set of lockpicks from his pocket and easily opened the top drawer of her desk. Sure enough, her rings were there in one of the partition compartments of the drawer. He put the rings in his pocket and closed the drawer, latching it. He looked through her other drawers and saw a photograph that she usually kept face down on her desk under some folders. It was a photo of the two of them on vacation, taken a few years earlier. Holding back his tears, he closed the desk drawer and left the office. From there, he went home, took a beer out of the refrigerator, and sat on the back porch with a fresh pack of cigarettes. He was finishing his fourth cigarette when he heard Margaret open the door and come outside. "Rob, are you okay?" she asked. "How many cigarettes have you smoked?" "Obviously not enough," he said. "I'm still alive." "Robert Brennan, don't even dare joke like that," she said, sitting down in one of the sun loungers. "That's not funny, isn't it?" he said. He looked at her fingers for a moment and wondered what she would say about her rings. "Where are your rings?" he asked. She looked guilty for a moment but quickly regained her composure. I took them to the jeweler to have them cleaned," she said. Rob noticed that she was looking down and to the side when she spoke. She always did this when she lied. "I understand," he said. "I didn't know they were dirty." He took a drag from his cigarette before speaking again. "I hope you don't mind, but I've taken the liberty of booking a table at Maggiano's for next Wednesday." Maggiano's was a rather expensive Italian restaurant that they sometimes visited on special occasions such as anniversaries or birthdays. "Next Wednesday?" she asked. "What's happening next Wednesday?" "Our 30th anniversary," he said calmly, not surprised that she'd forgotten about it. "We always go out to eat on our anniversary. Is that a problem? Do you have other plans for that day?" Besides Trevor Ashford, he thought to himself. No, I think it's okay," she stammered. "Do you think maybe we can change things up a little this year? Maybe we could celebrate on the weekend instead? This way, we'll have more time to spend together." "Yes, but it won't be our anniversary then," he said. "But if you have more important things to do and don't want to celebrate, I can call and cancel." No, don't do that," she said. "I would love to go." "Are you sure? Are you sure?" Rob asked. "I certainly don't want to upset you or make you feel like you're being forced into this." "Of course I want to go somewhere with you for our anniversary," she said. "Rob, what's gotten into you lately? Is this that cheating wife case you're working on with Mac? You haven't been yourself at all lately. I'm really starting to worry." "Sorry, I just have a lot on my mind. That's all," Rob said, putting out his cigarette. "Well, you're starting to scare me," she said, standing up. "I've never seen you like this. You've been out of sorts all week. If you don't mind, I'm going to get changed and prepare dinner. You know that I love you, don't you?" "Yes, of course," he said. She waited a few moments for him to say he loved her, but when he didn't, she kissed him on the cheek and headed upstairs. "He knows," she thought to herself. "This is the only way to explain his behavior. Oh God, what have I done? Will I ever be able to fix this?" She changed clothes and went downstairs to prepare dinner for them. They ate mostly in silence. When they finished eating, Rob excused himself and went to his home office. He closed and locked the door, then turned on his computer to find out everything he could about Trevor Ashford. Margaret knocked on the door once. "Are you okay, Rob?" she asked. "Wonderful," he said. "Just finishing up some work." "Okay, well, I'm going to bed. Don't stay up too long," she said. "I won't," he said. "Good night," she said. "Good night," he answered. "I love you," she said. "Okay," he said, stunned by his own answer. Margaret backed away from the door and headed upstairs. By the time her husband came to bed, she was already asleep. The next day, Rob listened to the latest audio recording from the device in Margaret's purse. Tears streamed down his face as he listened to his wife with Trevor. He heard her allowing Trevor to have his way with her in a manner he'd never been interested in, and as far as he knew, neither had she. But here she was, willingly allowing her boss to take advantage of her. He wanted to confront her, to scream at her. When he heard her tell Trevor that her body belonged exclusively to him, he needed to get out of the house before he said or did something stupid. He turned off the computer, grabbed his keys, and left without saying a word to Margaret. He heard her calling after him as he left, but he didn't answer. He just slammed the door and walked to his old truck. As he drove away, he saw her standing in the front window. He hoped she didn't notice the tears rolling down his face. He drove to the park and sat in the parking lot for a while, letting his tears flow. He wasn't sure how much more of this he could take without exploding. 30 years of wedded bliss, and this is how it ends, he thought. Someone has to pay for this. He needed someone to talk to, so he called Emily. After all, what was about to happen on Wednesday would affect her too, and she had a right to know. She picked up the phone after the first ring. "Dad," she said, "this is a surprise. Is everything okay?" "No, honey, it's not," he said. "Can you spare a few minutes for your old man?" "Of course, Dad," she said. "Do you want to come over? I can make you coffee." "Sounds good," he said. "I'll be right there. Just do me a favor, please." "What exactly?" she asked. "If your mom calls, don't tell her you talked to me. Okay?" "Okay, Dad," she said. "Is everything okay between you two?" "No, that's not true," he said. "Okay," she said. "Come on over. See you in a few minutes." He reached her apartment complex and climbed the stairs to her second-floor apartment. She saw him coming up the stairs and opened the door before he could knock. He hugged her and kissed her cheek. "The coffee's ready," she said. "Sit down and I'll bring you a cup." "Thank you," he said, sitting down on the sofa. She handed him a cup of coffee, black and hot, just the way he liked it, then sat down across from him. "What's going on, Dad?" she asked. He took a sip of his coffee and set his cup down before answering. "Your mother is cheating on me," he said quietly. "What?" she asked in shock. "Are you sure about this?" He nodded. "Yes," he said. "I'm sure. I have audio, video, photos. It's a full-blown affair with her boss, her work husband. This has been going on for several months now." "Oh my God," Emily said. "What are you going to do?" "I have no choice," he said. "I'm going to divorce her. I can't deal with this." "You can't?" she asked. "I mean, you guys have been married for what seems like forever." "No, honey. There's no way I can get past this," he said. "Maybe if it was just a one-time drunken mistake, but not this. I mean, she doesn't even wear my rings at work anymore. She even buys new clothes to wear to the office, changes at work, spends her afternoon with him, takes a shower, puts her old clothes back on, then comes home and acts like nothing happened. Can't her company do something about this?" she asked. "It almost sounds like harassment. In fact, her company not only encourages it, they demand it from their managers," he told her. "That's just wrong," she said. "It's not quite that simple," he told her. "But they pay her to be with him. That's how she was able to afford that new pickup truck." "So she's a corporate prostitute?" Emily asked in shock. "In a way, yes," he said. "I hope you plan to do something about it." "My lawyer is working on something," he said. "Unfortunately, you can no longer sue for alienation of affection in this state." "This sucks," she told him. "Yes, it does," he replied. "Do you want to know what's even worse? He was at our house. He ate at my table, pretending to be my friend, all this time." "You know what, Dad?" she said. "I'm already a grown woman. I've heard plenty of bad words before." It made him laugh, something he hadn't done in a long time. "The hardest part of all this is that she says she loves me," he said. "And, part of me believes she does, at least up to a point." "Do you still love her?" she asked. "Oddly enough, yes," he said. "That's why it hurts so damn much." "But that's not enough to keep her, is it?" she asked. She shook her head. "No," Emily said. "It's not." "That's not all," Rob told her. I can't trust her anymore. I've caught her in too many lies. Even if this Trevor Ashford leaves, what's to stop her from getting involved with another guy? You know, he's not much older than me, Emily said. 30, according to his biography on the company website, he said. And it turns out, your mother is not the first older woman he's seduced. I've heard about guys like this, she said. Maybe he's one of those guys who had issues with his mother when he was younger. You mean something like an Oedipus complex? Rob asked. Well, there's more to it, but in a nutshell, yes, she said. What do you plan to do about him? Unfortunately, I can't sue him, but I have no intention of letting him get away scot-free, Rob said. Just don't do anything stupid, she said. Damn, Rob said. Does everyone think I'm an idiot or something? Do you know how many times I've heard that? Jokes aside, Dad, Emily said, smiling. I just don't want you to end up in prison. I still love you and always will. I just can't believe Mom was stupid enough to fall in love with some younger guy. Yeah, well, she did, he said. And after Wednesday, she'll probably need all the support she can get. I'll do my best, Dad. But that doesn't mean I won't be angry with her, she said. Believe me, I'm going to tell her everything. They talked a little more, and after a while, Rob felt better. He looked at his watch and realized that he'd been gone for more than 2 hours. I think I'd better get back before your mother calls the National Guard, he said. Are you going to be okay, Dad? Emily asked. I can handle it, he said. Thank you, honey. I appreciate it. With another hug, Rob left and drove home. He wasn't sure what to expect when he got there. He half expected to see Trevor's car in his driveway, but luckily that didn't happen. He entered the house and looked around. 30 years of memories. The last 10 or more right here between these walls were everywhere. He almost burst into tears when he looked around. He saw Margaret in the backyard, tending to her flowers as if nothing had happened. How could she do this? He wondered. How could she betray me and then come home and pretend everything is just fine? Shaking his head, he took a beer from the refrigerator and walked out into the backyard. Once seated, he opened his beer and lit a cigarette. Margaret looked up when she heard the back door open and saw her husband lighting a cigarette. She got up and came out onto the patio. Is everything okay? She asked. Just wonderful, he said. Where have you been? She asked. You flew out of here like a bat out of hell. Something caught my attention while I was out, he said. I went to see Emily. How is she? Margaret asked. She's doing well, he told her. Margaret sat down and looked at her husband worriedly. Rob, we really need to talk, she said. Oh? About what? He asked. About you. About us. About everything, she said. All week, you've been inattentive, irritable, and out of sorts. You never told me that you loved me. You haven't even touched the new truck. Did I do something to upset you? He looked at her strangely when she asked, What about Trevor Ashford? Is something wrong with him? He asked himself. Tell me, he said. Did you do something to upset me? As far as I know, no, she said, looking down and to the side. He wanted to jump up and wring her neck, but he controlled himself. If I did, I'm very sorry. I didn't want to hurt you. Please, Rob, talk to me. I hate seeing you like this. I feel like I'm losing you. It's because you are losing me, you stupid woman, he thought to himself. After a few moments, she continued. I know you're working on this case with Mac, and it's upsetting you, she said. Maybe you shouldn't work with Mac if it's going to bother you this much. I've never seen you so worried about something before. The case is almost solved, he said. Soon all this will end. I hope so, she said. Because I hate to see you like this. It's killing me. Look, why don't you let me help you take your mind off it all tonight? It's been a long time since we did anything. What do you think? Rob thought about it before answering. Her words made sense. It had been a long time since they'd last been intimate, and after Wednesday, there was no telling when he would be with her again. Maybe he thought he could remind her of what she was about to lose. He smiled at her before answering. Sure, that sounds like a great idea, he said. She smiled and kissed her husband. I'll make sure you never forget this night, she said. And it was a night neither of them would soon forget. Rob pressed his soon-to-be ex-wife into the mattress several times with a force he hadn't shown in a long time. Even Trevor couldn't handle what Rob did to her, she thought to herself. Then her husband surprised her. "What are you going to do, Rob?" she asked. "This is a surprise," he said. When she realized what he intended to do, she tried to pull away from him, but he stopped her. "No, Rob, please," she begged. "We've never done this before." "Then I'd say that in 30 years it's about time," he said. "I'll go slowly, I promise." He slowly took what had been sitting there. "We should have done this a long time ago," he thought to himself. Margaret, meanwhile, was perplexed. This was supposed to be Trevor's exclusive territory. What made Rob decide to do this out of the blue? She knew she couldn't tell her husband to stop, not without revealing why, so she relaxed and gave in to what Rob was doing. After their final climax, Rob got up and went to the bathroom to get a pair of warm washcloths, one for himself and one for Margaret. He handed one to her while he cleaned himself up. For a moment he thought she was about to cry. "Why did you do that?" she asked. "You've never shown any interest in this before." "Your body looked so inviting that I couldn't help it," he said. "I didn't hurt you, did I?" "I'm sorry if I did." "No, you didn't hurt me, but you just surprised me, that's all," she said. "You were like an animal. What came over you?" "You did," he told her. "You looked so seductive that I just couldn't help myself." She smiled and hugged him. "I love you, Robert Brennan," she said. "I hope you never forget this." "I love you too," he said. Satisfied, they fell asleep in each other's arms. Rob wondered if this would be the wake-up call she needed. On Sunday, they slept late, and Rob went downstairs for breakfast. "Good morning, sleepyhead," Margaret said. "I hope you slept well last night." "I know for sure that I did. I still get goosebumps from what you did last night." He smiled, hoping to hide the pain he was experiencing. "I'm glad," he said. "I think the old man still has some abilities left." "Yes, I slept better than I have in a long time," she said. After they ate, he went out into the backyard and turned on his lawnmower. Perhaps for the last time, he mowed the yard and put the lawnmower away, admiring his work for perhaps the very last time. "I will miss this yard," he thought to himself. That night, they made love again, but Rob stayed away from where Margaret was still a little sore. From Rob's point of view, it was great. It was enough for him to simply know that this was no longer Trevor Ashford's exclusive territory. When they finished, Margaret rested her head on Rob's shoulder. "Please don't forget that I really love you," she said. "I would be completely lost without you." "I love you too," he said. What was true was that he still loved her, which is why her betrayal hurt him so much. That night, before going to bed, he made a decision and put the audio device back in her purse, hoping that she would tell Trevor that their relationship was over. Monday, D-Day -2. When Margaret left for work that morning, she felt like a new woman. After preparing a delicious breakfast for herself and Rob, she kissed her husband and practically ran out of the house with a big smile on her face. As Rob watched her leave the house, he hoped she would do the right thing. Arriving at work, she flitted into Trevor's office, picked out a nice dress for the day, and changed into the necklace her boss had given her when they became office spouses. She hugged Trevor tightly and kissed him. "You're in a good mood this morning," Trevor said. "I take it you had a good weekend?" "The best," she said. "Rob and I reconnected this weekend, and it was wonderful." "I understand," he said. "Did you leave anything for me?" She laughed. "Oh, there's plenty here for you, my office husband," she said. "As I understand it, everything is going well at home?" he asked. "Yes, now it is," she said. "But I think we really need to be extra careful." "Oh? Why?" Trevor asked. "I think he's starting to suspect something," she said. "Last week he was in a foul mood all week. He said he was dealing with a cheating wife case and it really got to him. Last week he didn't drive his new truck at all. You don't think he would resort to violence, do you? I mean, he actually served in the Marines and was a police officer for over 10 years. "Of course not," Trevor said. "Rob is a pussycat. Don't let that rough exterior fool you." By the way, I'll have to skip our time together on Wednesday, she said. How's that? Trevor asked. That's our time, you know. I know, but it will be my 30th wedding anniversary, she said. Remember what I said when we first started this? If I had to choose, I would choose him always, and I'm not going to ruin our anniversary. I suggested we move it to the weekend, but he didn't want to hear about it. Besides, he already has a table booked at Maggiano's. At least he has good taste, Trevor said. Of course, she said. He married me, didn't he? Trevor laughed and picked her up before pressing a kiss to her lips. Yes, he did, Trevor said. Well, since it will be your 30th anniversary, I think we can agree to that. Maybe you and I can take a weekend and go somewhere. We can, she said. But not too soon. First, I want to make sure Rob gets over whatever's bothering him. Something is really eating at him, and I hate to see him like this. Do you think he knows about us? He asked. I don't know, she told him. Maybe. That's why I think we still need to slow down a little. By the way, what did you tell him about your rings? He asked. I told him what you suggested, she said. That I took them to have them cleaned, and he bought it. Has anyone found them? He asked. No, he said, shaking his head. No one turned them in, and apparently no one was seen entering the office on Friday afternoon. Any idea what could have happened to them? She asked. He shook his head. I have no idea, he said. Trust me, I'm just as confused as you are. I'll continue to search and ask around. They must be here somewhere. Okay, she said. If there's nothing else, maybe I can buy a set similar to the original. If you need it, I'll take you downstairs and buy you a replacement set, Trevor said. In the end, it happened in my office. I feel somewhat responsible. You're a sweet man, Trevor, she said. No, it's at my expense, he said. It was I who took them off and put them in my desk drawer. Everything is fine. I can put it on my credit card, she said. Either way, I'd better get to work. Speaking of work, Trevor said, I wanted to discuss something with you. What is it? She asked. Well, since we're office spouses and all, and you've already said that you're 100% devoted to me in the office, I was wondering how you would feel about taking my last name, he asked. Only in the office, of course. Other executives have been talking about this for a couple of weeks now, and it looks like they might want to make it policy. Margaret thought for a moment and smiled. Margaret Ashford, she said thoughtfully. I like the sound of it. Okay, but let's wait a little, maybe for a week or so. Like I said, Rob has been acting like a bear lately, and I want to make sure he's okay before we go any further. Okay, just say the word and I'll ask HR to change the directory, Trevor said. I will, she said before rushing out of his office. Rob was in a good mood when he walked into Mac's office that morning. He grabbed a cup of coffee and sat down at his desk to check his email, just as Mac came out of his office to refill his coffee. You know, no matter how much we drink this stuff, maybe we should invest in coffee futures, Mac said jokingly. I'm all for it, Rob said with a laugh. You're in a good mood this morning, Mac said. Did you have a good weekend? Very good, thank you, Rob said. Did everything go well with Margaret this weekend? Mac asked. Yes, we did, Rob said. Actually, very good. That's good to hear, Mac said. But don't let her fool you. I've seen this happen so many times it's not even funny. What is it? Rob asked. Do you think Margaret would do it? That's just how cheaters work, Mac said. Of course they can stay clean for some time, make amends to their spouses, promise to never do it again, or make their spouses think everything is fine. But that's not true. In my experience, cheating for these people is akin to a drug addiction. Sure, they enjoy the high, but there's so much more involved for them. It's a question of power, control, fooling the poor unsuspecting spouse. Even if they become righteous for a while, they invariably return to it. The only thing that changes is they become more secretive. Do you think Margaret would do something like that? Rob asked. I've seen this before, Mac said. This work is even more exhausting than when you were on the police force. In the police force, we knew who the bad guys were: drug dealers, pimps, rapists, robbers, you name it. It's a completely different world out here. You do what you think is right for you, Rob. I'll have your back no matter what. Thanks, Mac. I appreciate it, Rob said. Later that morning, he received a call from John, his lawyer. Rob, how are things going? John asked. I'm hanging on, Rob said. What can I do for you? Do you think you can pop into the office for a bit after lunch? John asked. I've prepared the documents and would like to review them with you. Yes, of course, Rob said. I'll be with you at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Does that work? Great, John said. See you then. Rob was in John's office at 12:45 and was immediately let in. John stood up and shook his hand. Have a seat, he said. I've prepared the divorce papers just like you said. Take a look and let me know what you think. Rob looked through the papers and saw that everything was exactly as he wanted. He signed where John indicated and handed them back. What about Caldwell? Rob asked. Have you come up with anything for them? That's what I wanted to show you, John said, taking out another stack of papers. He handed them to Rob, who began to read them. Intentional infliction of emotional distress? Rob asked. John shrugged. I thought about it and decided to go this route, John said. In my opinion, this meets all 4 tests required by law. First, the company, in applying its stated policies, acted recklessly and willfully. Second, by allowing Trevor to have a relationship with Margaret and requiring her to do so, the company's actions were extreme and outrageous. Third, the behavior mandated by the company caused the breakdown and misery of your marriage. Fourth, you are experiencing severe emotional distress as a result of the adultery that led to your divorce. Do you think the judge or jury will believe it? Rob asked. Maybe, John said. And I see you're asking for $30 million. $30 million? Rob said. I can't imagine a judge or jury going for that. Probably not, John said. I thought $1 million for each year of your marriage was a good number, and I also doubt that the judge or jury will go for it. I chose this figure to get Caldwell's attention more than anything else. A lawsuit like this would definitely be noticed, and somehow I don't think they would want to see it on the news. It's bad for business. They will no doubt want to negotiate this, and I think they will do everything they can to settle it out of court. I believe that if we walk away with $2 million or more, we will win. What is your interest? Rob asked. Usually I get a third, but in your case, since you work with Mac, I'll only ask for 10%, John said. Agreed, Rob said. What the hell, it's a deal, John said. How do we play this out? You say your anniversary is on Wednesday, and you want to serve Margaret that evening. So why don't we do it on the same day? I'll get this filed late Tuesday afternoon, and we can head to Caldwell's Wednesday morning. What do you think? Rob thought about it and agreed. That would give me time to take care of Trevor Ashford. Let's do this, he said. I'll meet you at Caldwell's at 9:30 in the morning. I'm fine with that, John said. See you then. That evening, Rob grabbed the audio device from Margaret's purse and downloaded the audio onto his computer while she was busy cleaning the kitchen. He put on his headphones and listened to what the device was recording. His heart sank as he listened to both of them. Now she wants to take his last name while in the office. Tears streamed down his cheeks as he realized Mac was right. He turned off the sound and wiped his face. Soon this will all end, he thought. He took out his phone and sent a short message. The game is starting. That night, as he lay in bed, he moved away from Margaret. She reached out to him, but he told her he wasn't feeling too well. He didn't lie. Tuesday, D-Day -1. Trevor Ashford sat at his desk and reflected on the current state of his life. He had a great job that paid a lot of money, and even better, a warm, helpful, and beautiful older woman as his companion. What's even better is that the company actually paid her to be with him. Couldn't be better, he thought with a grin. Margaret had just left the office to pick up their lunch. He knew that after they shared their food, they would share each other's bodies. Soon, he thought, she will belong to him entirely, and her ignorant cuckold husband will not be able to do anything about it. He was snapped back to reality when his phone rang. He recognized the number and answered. Ashford, he said, answering the call. Trevor, this is Rob, said the man on the other end of the line. Yeah, Rob, good to hear from you. Trevor said with a mischievous grin. What can I do for you? I'm planning a little surprise for Margaret's anniversary, and I was wondering if you could help me, Rob said. Of course, Trevor said. I will do everything in my power to help. Okay, Rob said. Look, meet me at Murphy's bar at, say, 5:30 this evening so we can discuss this. And not a word to Margaret. Mum's the word. Grave, Trevor said. See you at 5:30. Great, Rob said. See you then, he added before ending the conversation. Trevor put the phone back in his pocket and wondered what was on Rob's mind. After work, Trevor headed straight to Murphy's bar and parked in the lot. The small bar was located at the end of a strip mall in the old part of town. He didn't feel too comfortable in this part of the city, but decided that it was still quite early. He walked into the dark pub and noticed Rob sitting at a table at the far end of the bar. Two strong-looking men sat at another table and looked at him warily as he walked over to where Rob was sitting. Rob had his laptop on the desk and was typing away when Trevor walked up to him. He stopped typing and looked up as Trevor pulled out a chair across from him. Just in time, Rob said. Good. I admire punctuality. Can I get you something to drink? Yeah, a beer would be nice, Trevor said. Rob waved to the man behind the counter and pointed to 2 beers. The bartender grabbed 2 bottles of cold beer and placed them on the table. Rob handed the man some money, and he walked away. So what is this surprise you're telling me about? Trevor asked. Rob smiled, but there was no warmth in his smile. As you probably already know, tomorrow is my 30th wedding anniversary, Rob said. Imagine, such a wonderful woman like Margaret has been with me for 30 years. Who would have thought? I know what you mean, Trevor said. Rob nodded his head in agreement. So tell me, Trevor, what was it like to take my wife anally? Rob asked. Trevor looked shocked and started to say something, but Rob cut him off. Don't bother, it was just a rhetorical question. I know what it's like. I did it last weekend. What, she didn't tell you? I thought you two discussed everything. After all, she's your work wife, right? It's because of you that she takes off my rings when she comes to work in the morning. Isn't it? Trevor stared at his beer in confusion. Trevor began, but Rob interrupted him. So you want her to take your last name at the office, don't you? He asked. Are you planning to include her in your health insurance? You know she's 49 years old enough to be your mother. Actually, you seem to like older married women, don't you? I don't know what you're talking about, Trevor said. Don't play coy, Trevor, Rob said. I know everything about you. Does the name Robin Harkness mean anything to you? How about Janice Taylor or Brenda Smith? There's more, but they all have the same story. Older married women who have a lot of money, and strangely enough, you manage to write your name into their wills. How do you do it, Trevor? Don't bother answering, I already know. So tell me what's going on between you and older women. Is this some kind of Oedipus complex or something? Did you have feelings for your mother as a child and never grew out of them? What is the Oedipus complex? Trevor asked. What are you talking about? Oh, I forgot, Rob said. You were a product of modern education. Probably never even heard the term before. Trevor was starting to worry. Who does this little man think he is anyway? Listen, Rob, I love your wife, he said. It's wrong to say that to an armed man whose wife you've been sleeping with for what, 6 months or more? Rob said. Fine, what do you want from me? Trevor asked. Rob turned his laptop so Trevor could see the screen. What is this? Trevor asked. You don't recognize your company's email site? Rob asked. I see it, Trevor said. But what is that on the screen? This is your resignation letter, Rob said. Effective immediately. I've already included the email addresses of your bosses, your board of directors, and your HR department. All you have to do is enter your email signature and click submit. Then, when you do that, you can leave. I have a better idea, Trevor said, his face turning red. How about I kick your ass and then take your wife in your bed while you watch? Rob grinned at this. True, you are 20 years younger than me. You're in pretty good shape and you don't have any problems with a bad leg. But you're forgetting a couple of things, Rob said. Like what? Trevor growled. First of all, I'm armed, Rob said. Secondly, I have been working in law enforcement longer than you've been alive. I've learned a couple of things along the way, like how to make an idiot like you disappear without a trace, and no one will ever find your body. Trevor looked at Rob in shock. Are you really going to kill me? Trevor asked. It's been a while, Rob said. Your choice. We can do this the simple way, he said, pointing to the laptop. Or we can go somewhere less hospitable and do it the hard way. In any case, you disappear from my life forever. Personally, I kind of hope you choose the latter. It's been a long time since I've killed someone, and my trigger finger is a little itchy right now. And you're saying all I have to do is sign and send this email? Trevor asked. What then? Then you are leaving my city tonight, Rob said. And you will never return. Never? But I still have things in my apartment, Trevor said. I already took care of it, Rob said, taking a key from his pocket. These two gentlemen took your things to a storage unit about an hour and a half outside of town. Here's the key to your unit. The month has already been paid. Trevor looked around and saw two strong men sitting at the next table. They didn't look very friendly at all. Trevor looked over the resignation letter that Rob had written. He had to admit this guy had a way with words. After reading it, he signed it electronically and clicked send. He turned the laptop back to Rob. A few seconds later, they heard Rob's phone ring. I put my email address in the BCC field, Rob said. Now get out of my city. These two gentlemen will escort you to the state line. Don't try to contact me, and don't even think about trying to contact my wife. Defeated, Trevor nodded his head and stood up to leave. Rob stood up too and walked around the table to come face to face with Trevor. God help you if our paths ever cross again, Trevor, Rob told him. Okay, Trevor said. You won. No hard feelings? He asked, holding out his hand. Rob looked at the hand for a moment and shook it. Then, trembling, he pulled Trevor closer and kneed him in the groin with his good leg. Trevor collapsed to the floor in pain. The bartender looked at them for a moment. He's okay. He just slipped on a wet spot, Rob shouted. The bartender nodded his head and went back to work. Rob grabbed Trevor's hair and yanked, forcing the younger man to look up at him. I'm going to keep an eye on you, Trevor, he said. If I ever find out you're sleeping with another man's wife, so help me God, I'll hunt you down like a dog and put an end to your miserable existence. Can you hear me, boy? Yes, sir, Trevor said. Rob let go of him and stood up, looking at the two men standing next to him. Get this piece of garbage out of my sight and out of my state, he told them. Now, boss? One of the men asked. They grabbed Trevor's arms and pulled him to his feet before leading him out of the bar. Rob watched them go, then noticed something on the floor near one of the chairs. He leaned over and saw that it was Trevor's phone. Apparently, it had fallen out of his pocket when he hit the floor. He turned it on and saw that it was locked. Out of curiosity, he entered 1234 and clicked OK. Oddly enough, the phone opened right in front of him. He shook his head in amazement. Let's talk about stupidity, he thought. He turned off the phone and put it in his pocket before heading home. Wednesday, D-Day. Margaret woke up early and noticed that Rob's side of the bed was empty. She hoped he was still downstairs and rushed downstairs, throwing on her robe. They had a long tradition of exchanging cards on the morning of their anniversary, and she hoped to catch him before he left. She walked over to the kitchen table and saw that the card she had bought for him was still there, unopened. She hoped to see a card from him, but there was none. Instead, there was a note. Had to leave early to do something. See you at Maggiano's at 6. Happy anniversary. It was strange, she thought. He didn't say he loved her, and he always had a card for her to open in the morning. Concerned, she returned upstairs and got ready for work. When she got to the office, she walked into Trevor's office and saw that he wasn't there. He was always there before her, she thought. She looked around, but his presence was nowhere to be seen. His jacket wasn't on the hanger, and the coffee pot was still off. She took out her phone and tried to call him, but it went straight to voicemail. Trevor, honey, are you okay? Please call me. I'm worried. Love you, she said before ending the conversation. She turned around to see Robert Jones, the CEO, standing in the doorway with a piece of paper in his hand. "Good morning, Margaret," he said, entering the office. "I hate to tell you this, but Trevor is gone." "No," she asked. "What do you mean, gone?" "He resigned from his post last night," Robert said. "He sent this after he left the office." He handed her a piece of paper. She read it, and tears streamed down her face. "To whom it may concern," the short letter began. "I regret to inform you that I am submitting my resignation from Caldwell Associates, effective immediately. Although I enjoy my job and the team I work with, I can no longer in good conscience continue to work here knowing that I'm ruining the marriage of a good man. I hope for the best for the company and will send my contact information as soon as I am settled in my new position. With best wishes, Trevor Ashford." The letter concluded. Margaret read the letter twice before returning the paper to Robert. She refused to take it, raising one hand. "Keep it for yourself," Robert said. "We were all surprised by this. I also tried to call him, but I was unable to contact him." "I don't understand," she said. "He never showed any signs that he was unhappy." "That's why we're surprised too," Robert said. "We were very pleased with his work, and he seemed happy." "You didn't tell your husband anything, did you?" "No, Mr. Jones, I didn't," she said. "Okay," he said. "Look, I know you two were very close. Why don't you take the rest of the week off? Your job is safe. Come back on Monday, and we'll figure something out." "Okay. Thank you, Mr. Jones," she said, and tears streamed down her face. He gave her a fatherly hug before leaving the office. Sobbing, she left the building and drove away. Rob and John sat in the parking lot in John's car, watching the building. They saw a visibly upset Margaret get into her car and drive away. John looked at Rob before speaking. "Are you ready?" he asked. "Let's go," Rob said. They got out of the car and entered the building, taking the elevator to the Caldwell Associates executive suites. When they got there, the secretary tried to stop them from entering Robert's office. But Rob showed his badge, and the two continued on their way without slowing down. Robert looked up in surprise as two men entered his office without knocking. "Who are you?" he asked. "What do you think you're doing, bursting in here like that?" "Mr. Robert Jones?" Rob asked. "Yes, it's me," he said. Rob pulled out a manila folder and placed it on Robert's desk. "You've been served," Rob said. "Been served?" Robert asked in shock. "For what?" "It's all in the documents," John said. "Your company and your top managers are being sued for intentional infliction of emotional distress." "What?" Robert asked. "Are you crazy? For what?" "Your employee, Mr. Trevor Ashford, entered into a 6-month affair with my client's wife, effectively ending his marriage and causing him great emotional pain," John said. "Moreover, your company demanded that he participate in this illegal activity in order to remain employed in good standing. Therefore, my client is asking for $30 million in damages." "Now I know you're out of your mind," Robert said. "First of all, Trevor Ashford doesn't work here anymore. He resigned last night." He looked at Rob before continuing. "Wait a minute, I know you. You're Margaret Hartwell's husband, aren't you? A police officer who was medically retired after being wounded. Are you his client?" "He is," Rob said. Robert looked at John, and his face turned red. "Well, you can take this worthless lawsuit and shove it," he said. "Then you can stand by while my lawyers tear you to shreds over this slanderous piece of garbage. Mr. Jones, we have audio, video, and eyewitness testimony for all of our charges," John said. "And you know the old saying, discovery is a pain. You know as well as I do what this lawsuit can do to your business. What do you think will happen when it becomes known that your company requires its executives to have illicit relationships with their female assistants and has been doing so for 75 years or more? And what do you think will happen when it becomes known that not a single woman works here in leadership positions? In fact, I've spoken to several very qualified women who applied for management positions here and were told they weren't qualified for the job. Trust me, Mr. Jones, I will stand on the courthouse steps every single day and tell reporters how Caldwell discriminates against women and ruins the marriages of its employees. He paused. We also know that you pay your employees up to $100,000 a year to have relationships with their supervisors. To me, it sounds an awful lot like prostitution, and prostitution is illegal in this state. I'm sure the DA would have a field day with this. So if you want to countersue, that's up to you. It will only cost you a lot more. We are both reasonable people and are willing to accept a reasonable counteroffer. How about this? Robert listened in stunned silence as John made it clear what he would do. He finally calmed down and looked at Rob. How long were you married to Margaret? He asked. Today would have been my 30th anniversary, Rob said. But instead of celebrating, I will serve her with divorce papers tonight. Hearing this, Robert was even more deflated. He looked at John again. Okay, you've made your point, counselor, he said. How about $3 million? Will this help end this? John looked at Rob for a moment before either of them said anything. John looked back at Robert. That's $3 million after taxes, John said. Robert sighed before speaking. Okay, he said. Anything else? A couple of points, Mr. Jones, Rob said. What? Robert asked. First, you agree to stop this practice of yours, Rob said. Secondly, you are promoting Margaret to Trevor's position. She has a business degree and worked with Trevor for several months. She probably knows his work better than he does. Robert thought about it for a moment before speaking. And you agree to sign a non-disclosure agreement if we do this? He asked. Rob looked at John before speaking. Of course, Rob said. Okay, I need to confer with the board first, Robert said. When do you need an answer, counselor? Preferably by the end of the workday today, John said. I think we can keep the media at bay for that long. Then you will have your answer, Robert said. And Mr. Brennan, I sincerely regret what happened to your marriage. Thank you, Mr. Jones, Rob said. The three of them shook hands before John and Rob left. Well, it went better than I expected, John said as they returned to his car. Yes, it did, Rob said. There's only one last thing I have to do. Trust me, you'll be fine, John said. Just give it time. Rob nodded his head. Margaret parked her car and ran to the elevator that would take her to the floor where Trevor's apartment was located. She took out her key and opened the door, hoping he was still there. However, when she went inside, it was empty. She ran from room to room, shouting his name, but all she heard was the echo of her own voice. Realizing that Trevor was indeed gone, she left the apartment and drove home, where she spent most of the day crying. Around 4 p.m., she went to the master bedroom to get ready for the evening with Rob. After crying her eyes out, she decided that she would spend the rest of her life making amends for her adultery. She promised herself that she would once again become the best wife Rob could ever dream of. She went into her wardrobe to choose a beautiful dress for the evening and noticed that something was wrong. Looking into the closet where Rob's things were, she realized that most of his clothes were missing. Frightened, she opened his dresser drawers and saw that they were empty. She fell back onto the bed in fear. This can't be, she thought to herself. She steadied herself long enough to take a shower and put on her makeup. He's not really leaving me, she told herself. This is all just a joke. He would never leave me, she thought while dressing. She trembled with fear. Finally, she looked at herself in the mirror one last time. Rob would never leave, she thought to herself. She pulled into the Maggiano's parking lot and saw Rob's old pickup truck there. Okay, she thought. He's here, and we can put an end to this nonsense once and for all. She went inside and was shown to a table that stood in a rather secluded corner. Rob was already there, dressed in a nice suit. He smiled and stood up as she approached. He sat her down, as he always did, then sat down at the table across from her. They ordered food and a glass of wine. Over the meal, they exchanged small talk and pleasantries. When they finished eating, Margaret raised her glass. To 30 years of marriage, she said. Rob nodded his head and took a sip. Margaret continued. And to another 30 years of wedded bliss, she said, taking a sip. Rob shook his head and set his glass down. She looked at him in shock. I'm sorry, but this won't happen, he said sadly. What? she asked in shock. Why not? You're not stupid, Margaret, he said. And neither am I. I have just 2 questions for you. Why? And how long were you going to continue to make a fool of me? I honestly don't know, she said. Trevor reminded me so much of you when we were younger, and he was so kind to me. I guess I just fell in love with him. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you, and I certainly didn't plan on making you look like a fool. Really? He asked. Damn it, you're old enough to be his mother. You invited him to our house, fed him our food, made me think he was a good guy. All this time, you gave him what should have belonged only to me. To make matters worse, the company was paying you to be with him. Do you know what they call that in our state? She asked quietly. What? Prostitution, he said. So who are you now? A prostitute? Oh God, no, she exclaimed. Bonuses and additional money were received for services provided. Intimate services, he said, correcting her. No matter how you spin it, that's what it was. The money for that new truck was money earned as a prostitute. You want to know why I don't drive it anymore? Because it reeks of betrayal. Every time I think about that truck, all I see is you with Trevor. You did? You saw that? She asked. Oh yeah, Rob said. I saw it all. Do you want to know what was worse than watching you together? Watching you take off your rings and throw them in your desk drawer like a pile of trash. You were so ashamed of me that you couldn't even wear my rings at work. Then you lied and told me you took them to have them cleaned. I'm sorry, she said. I lost them, but they disappeared. I didn't know what to tell you, so I lied. I really regret this. This will never happen again, I swear. I know it won't happen, he said, putting his hand in his jacket pocket. He pulled out an envelope and placed it in front of her. Margaret Hartwell, you have been served. She shook her head, tears streaming down her face. No, no, no. I won't take them, she said. I don't want a divorce, Rob. Please tell me this is a joke. This is not a joke, Margaret, he said. I've been agonizing over this all week, and I'm not going to do it anymore. You still haven't answered my second question. How long were you going to keep making a fool of me? Were you going to continue sleeping with Trevor until you retired? I don't know, she said, sobbing. And this nonsense about him giving you his last name at work, he added. Were you really going to do that too? I don't know, she sobbed. Please stop, Rob. I can't stand it anymore. It's just too damn bad, he said. Now you've felt at least a little of what I've been experiencing for the last week and a half. However, there is one good thing that came out of all this. What is it? She asked. You've been promoted, he said. You were chosen to take Trevor's place. Congratulations. You are the first female executive at Caldwell Associates. Do you know about Trevor leaving? She asked in shock. Yes, Rob said. I had a nice little conversation with him. As one man to another, I convinced him that it was in his best interest to leave. And how did you manage to persuade Caldwell to give me his position? She asked. I had a little help from a good lawyer, Rob said. Rob, I know this may sound cliché, but it was just physical between me and Trevor. It really didn't mean anything, she said. Of course we can get past this. Rob smiled and pulled out Trevor's phone. He launched the voicemail application and played her last message sent to him. Trevor, honey, are you okay? Please call me. I'm worried. I love you. They heard Margaret's voice. Rob closed the app. I love you, he asked rhetorically. In my opinion, these sound like the words of a woman in love. No, Margaret, we can't get past this. You made your bed and now you can lie in it. Just so you know, you're not the first older woman Trevor has done this to. I hope, however, that you will be the last. He reached into his pocket and pulled out another envelope, throwing it on the table. Come on, open it, he said. Margaret opened the envelope and saw 3 rings inside, hers and his. She looked at him in shock. Did you take my rings? She asked. He nodded his head. Yes, he said. I thought if you don't want to wear them, maybe I should take them back. I was close to cutting them in half, but I thought you might need the money you get from pawning them. So it's really over between us, isn't it? She asked. He nodded his head. Yes, he said. And just so you know, I already told Emily and your parents. They're not too happy with you right now. Did you tell them? She asked. What did you tell them? The truth, he said. You cheated on me, and I filed for divorce. Anyway, I think that's all for now. This house is yours. We each have our own pension and we shared bank accounts. I already took my half. In case you haven't noticed, I've already moved some of my things out of the house. I'll have to go back to get the rest. Just let me know when it's convenient for you. You can come anytime you want, Rob, she said. As far as I understand, this house is also yours. Okay, he said. Well, then I'll go. Happy anniversary. Goodbye, Margaret. She reached out to grab him, but he was already at the counter paying for their food. As he left the restaurant, she felt hot tears running down her face. The divorce went off without a hitch. Margaret signed the papers and sent them back to John, who filed them in court. After 60 days, the divorce became final. On Monday, she returned to work and heard the news of her promotion. This became huge news within the company and even made the local news. The company also quietly informed executives that they would no longer be required to have relationships with their assistants. New managers would be assigned assistants, but the intimate aspects of the job would no longer be sanctioned. Margaret took the initiative to develop strict new standards regarding harassment in the workplace. They both immersed themselves in their work and never met. Margaret continued to wear her rings despite being divorced. In her mind, she was still married to Rob. Rob could never come to terms with what Margaret had done and found it difficult to trust any woman. 6 months later, he walked Emily down the aisle at her wedding and sat next to Margaret. The two of them held hands as they watched their daughter get married. They even danced together at the reception. You know I still love you, Robert Brennan, she whispered in his ear as they danced, tears in her eyes. And I still love you, Margaret Brennan, he replied. That night, they were intimate in what used to be their shared home. A few months after this, Rob sat in his truck watching a client's spouse in a surveillance job. Suddenly, he felt a strange pain in his chest that radiated to his left arm. He realized what was happening and reached for his phone to call 911. But by the time the ambulance arrived, it was too late. He died of a heart attack. Margaret was devastated and passed away a few months later. The official cause was listed as a stroke, but Emily knew the real reason. Her mother's heart was broken. She was buried next to her ex-husband. Trevor never really stopped pursuing older married women. About a year after Rob had confronted him, an enraged husband caught him with his latest conquest. The confrontation ended violently, and Trevor did not survive. The husband was found not guilty by reason of temporary insanity and divorced his cheating wife. Thank you for your viewing. See you next time. If you enjoyed this, subscribe to JK Tells a Story for more tales.